Hello and welcome to my sermon for Sunday the 29th of March 2020. One of the early changes I made when arriving at the Free Rivers group was to start putting the psalm onto the notice sheet. This was in part because of my deep love of the psalm and the place that they have held in the worship of the church since the earliest times. The psalms have a large role in the worship of the early church. We see on several occasions in the Gospels the almost throwaway phrase, after they have sung the psalm, which marks a movement to the next scene. So why do these psalms have such an enduring appeal? What is it about them? There's no definitive answer to the original purpose. Some were written as part of the worship of the ancient temple, and lots have a strongly royal theme, indicating their use in Solomon's temple. Their traditional attribution to King David is no longer accepted by most, but his time in office is a contender from when these songs and poems have their earliest usage. Others of the psalms have a distinctly more personal feel and were perhaps mainly used in the home. What I love about the psalms is the way that they express human life in all its fullness. There are the psalms of comfort, examples of which might be 5, 23, 43, and 91. Psalms of praise, 100, 139, 117. Psalms of lament, 12, 44, 86. Psalms of anger, 69, 109, and 137. Of course, many of the psalms express more than one theme, and there's a great store of richness contained within them. The psalms are part of my daily prayer life, and each morning and evening I read 1, 2, or 3 psalms, depending on what the lectioneers say. Some days they speak to me in the moment, and other days they just wash over. Sometimes they make me smile. This week I've been praying of Hannah, and as luck would have it, she got to read the verse from Psalm 131. I do not occupy myself with great matters, with things that are too high for me. On Tuesday morning, still digesting the news that we were locking our church doors, Psalm 79 began. O God, the heathen have come into your heritage. Your holy temple have they defiled and made Jerusalem a heap of stones. Small moments, perhaps, but if we believe that God continues to speak to his people through the words of Scripture, worth taking note of. The psalm set for today, number 130, seems to me to help us to think about our current situation. We might not feel that we are calling out of the depths, but it has certainly been an unsettling week. There is much that we're missing about social interaction and the world as it was. There is a tinge of fear within us. Will I get it? Will those I love get it? What is happening to the economy? How are the most vulnerable coping with all this? Alongside that, we are having to reset our minds to life without an important place in our lives, the church building, and those we would love to be meeting with now. That hour each week which sets us up for the challenges we face in the week to come, refuels us for the journey, brings us into contact with the divine, the Almighty. To return to our psalm, does our cry of, O Lord, hear my voice, feel the same when that voice is not within the walls of that place designated as holy in our community? There is a timely reminder, too, of the power of the Lord to redeem, to bring us back into his steadfast love. Whether deserved or not, we are called to that steadfast love, the love which enfolds and surrounds us. In the psalm, we are assured that there is forgiveness for our iniquities. In the language of waiting for the Lord, which the psalmist uses, there is a note of longing. It isn't the sort of waiting in a queue to get into Tesco to do the big shop. We are looking back to a different meaning of the word, more akin to keeping watch, as we see in verse 6. There is an intentionality to this waiting on the Lord, not merely standing in line seeking admission, but intentionally putting ourselves in a place where we can await the Lord's presence amongst us. The other thing to note is that we wait in hope. We wait in eager expectation. We may feel like those in exile, far from the comfortable places we were just days ago. We are not the first to feel like this, nor will we be the last. The people of Israel were in exile in Babylon. We hear of their plight, their struggle to stay faithful to God in the prophets, perhaps most especially in Isaiah. but we also hear of their triumphant return, the rebuilding of the temple, the breathing of life back into the city, holding festival with great rejoicing. This return from exile can only happen because the people continue to wait on the Lord whilst far from home, far from the places they would usually go to worship God. They remained faithful. They continued in prayer. They continued to ask justly, to serve their neighbours and those most in need. They continued to find time and space to wait for the Lord. My hope and prayer for us as the families of God in our villages is that we will find ways in our exile to wait for the Lord, to witness to our villages that the church is still present in our community, that the voice of the Lord may be heard, that people might know that his love is steadfast. As we wait to join in the celebration when our buildings reopen, and we wait for that ultimate celebration, when we will wait on the Lord in the eternal banquet of heaven. Amen.